Hi, Tormod here from southwest coast of Norway, sharing here today uh, a few of the things that I do to support myself through my experience of schizophrenia. Now, I reckon I was born schizophrenic. What schizophrenia is and how it came about and similar questions I will not address in this video. I would rather leave a link to some videos and interviews from Equaf, from my blog and from Equaf, where I talk more about my understanding of schizophrenia, how I understand the schizophrenic mental illness, diagnosis and circumstances, how it came about, where it came from, everything about it, how it functions, what are the details. So that's in the link. That's in the links. Okay, enough. So I want to share in this video what I do to support myself through schizophrenia. And one of the very first key things that I started doing a little over 8 years ago was that I connected with Destiny I Process, destiny.org, and I started my process of self-realization, self-forgiveness, self-honesty, self-responsibility, and so on. Meaning starting to peel the onion of finding my true self, my own true core nature, you might say. Learning what is the mind, and knowing that with schizophrenics, the mind is more advanced, more complicated, more ill, and so on. And I started this process in 2012, January 2012, with the specific tool that I will mention as a reference of self-forgiveness, of forgiving the very self for what I had accepted and allow it to go on within and as myself and my world. So that's the very key point that I started doing to support myself. I started to write out my thoughts, my memories, my drama, my trauma, my things that were holding me in a low down position. I started to write out all these things to understand what are the driving factors behind my living experience? What are the driving factors behind my behavioral patterns? I started to map out with help from Destiny I Process, Destiny Forum, Destiny.org. I started to map out my own inside, my own history, in great detail, you might say, and forgive all the energetic, difficult components, okay? And forgive them in great detail, over time, quantum forgiveness, okay? And to learn what is the driving factors behind my living patterns, behind my reality, so within, so without. I came to a very fine understanding of schizophrenia, of my mind, of my living, and this I'm still walking, basically. I'm still in this process of discovering and walking through my mind systems, basically. Yes, you can say that I have come far and that I've accomplished much. It can be difficult to see that I'm still schizophrenic, but I can see it in myself that I'm still schizophrenic. I see it in the blueprint, DNA, RNA, inherent recipe of me. So that whole package of walking with destiny, of self-forgiveness process, of realizing self beyond mind, that is the very first and most important point that I started to support myself. Secondly, I started to cooperate with my doctor about medication. I take one type of medication, an antipsychotic remedy, to balance me out, to prevent me from going into psychosis, basically. And I'm very satisfied with this medication. If you don't like medications or doctors or stuff like that, that's okay. I have my life, you have your life, and we both must find what works best for us individually. I choose to take my medication because it helps me. I am, what shall I say, that whole debate about psychiatry, about doctors, about hospitals, I will leave that for now. I have made many videos about that before, how we are moving from an archaic psychiatry to a holistical psychiatry, from a pyramid psychiatry to a circle psychiatry. How we're moving from a hierarchy psychiatry to a circle psychiatry. From a hierarchy psychiatry to a holistic psychiatry. To put it short. Okay? So I started to cooperate with my doctor, and that's going very well. I have a very relaxed and commonsensical relationship with dealing with my doctor and that expertise. Within that package lies the movement from the hierarchy to the holistical psychiatry. It's all in the cards now, and we're moving. So this is why I want to share with you how I support myself through schizophrenia, through my living of schizophrenia. Further than these two things, self-forgiveness and destiny process, cooperating with doctor, there are many other things that I do to support myself. For instance, today I have taken a bath in the ocean. It is April the 16th, and I've just been in the fjord in Norway and have a bath. It was ice cold, and I loved every second of it, okay? It was delicious. Ice cold bath. Ice cold bath as a support. I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. I also walk a lot in the forest. I walk in the forest, and into me I see. I see, like so within, so without. What I walk into of nature is also equal a part of myself, my inner reality. We're all connected. We're all connected, and it feels pretty awesome. So walking in nature and getting the blood moving, getting the heartbeat moving, heart pumping, and moving around in the forest. I live now for almost 4 years in a Camp Hill village, which is a anthroposophic kind of a village. It's a living community. We live together in houses in a village. It is very likable to me. I very much enjoy myself here. I have very much made my rooting here, you might say, through practices such as, walking in nature and taking bath here, but also self-forgiveness, of course, and working with the doctor. And we eat almost exclusively only ecological food. We have many animals. We have cows, calves, sheep and lamb. We have goats and goatlings, chickens, a few pigs, cats, and a dog. So there's lots to seek and find grounding. Talking to cows, for instance, just feeling their noses and stuff like that, or just being around animals is something that I can expand upon. I see that within myself at this moment, that I can expand upon that, because I have more to gain from that, from my process, basically. Being around animals is a real blessing. So that is also some of how I treat myself, something of quality to better my living experience, to better my situation through my experience of schizophrenia. I've quitted my addictions to porn, to alcohol, to cigarettes, to hashish, weed. A lot of, what shall I say, unhealthy addictions, they are ended. They stopped many years ago, and I don't need it any longer. I don't feel like I should have that. That's not something when I walk the forgiveness process, I come to the realization that, okay, there is all these things out there, alcohol and hashish and all that stuff is out there, but I don't need it. I can pass it from my nose like that, but I would say, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. Because I don't need to suppress my memories of trauma, of drama, of whatever. I don't need to suppress my memories with weed or whatever. I don't need to medicate, because I have walked a lengthy process of self-forgiveness. I'm still walking it, basically. So the tool of self-forgiveness is really something for me to emphasize. There is nothing like it. If you start working on self-forgiveness over and over again, sounding self-forgiveness through your own voice, writing self-forgiveness with pen and paper or a document, and really starting to loosen up on learning self-forgiveness, it's a guaranteed success. You will not regret it. And what you've got to lose, after all, you are forgiving yourself. Okay? It's the ultimate key. So I mentioned that we eat almost only ecological food here. That's true. I bake sourdough bread every week, and I eat also lots of weeds, different weeds outside, like dandelion and sting nettle. I make tea of them for the winter, and now in spring I just eat it raw from the ground, just wash it a bit, and I eat it raw, which is very rich in vitamin C, and so on. And I have not been sick for at least 2 years, I think, like even the flu. I can't remember last time I really was out with the flu. So my overall health is very good. And there are times where I go into a low of sorts, just too much thinking or stuff going on within me, basically. Stuff going on within my mind. Where I can go into a low, or I can become stressful and fearful and full of anxiety. That can still happen. But I have my tools now. I have self-forgiveness now. And I can work on it. I can write it out, pen and paper, open up. Where is this coming from? What memory? It's always memory. What memory, trauma, drama is this coming from? Why am I reacting to this thing I'm reacting to? Okay? There's always a reason why we react to something. And the reason is rooted in memories, trauma, drama from our past. So it's up to us how we choose to let trauma and drama guide our reality, guide our living, our application, or if we can forgive it, let it go, take a new breath, and find a living word to be the guide of self, basically. I also write a blog. I'll also write a blog, A Schizophrenic's Journey to Life by me, Tormod Witzen Edram. A Schizophrenic's Journey to Life. And I've written a lot about, and also in Destiny Forum about that. I also make lots of videos like this to hopefully support others, to hopefully reach out to others. Excuse me. To hopefully reach out to others so that you can support yourself equally through your schizophrenia, or you can help your son with schizophrenia, or your friend with schizophrenia, or whatever. You know, the voices, hallucinations, and the paranoia and all that stuff that was hard, compromised, compact illness, trauma, drama, rooted as systems, personality platforms deep within me. Because of suppression and denial from these thoughts, from this drama, from these systems, from these emotions. Okay? So I took them all out in careful consideration, one by one personality, memory, opening it up, seeing the connections, seeing the pattern, behavioral pattern of me today from these memories, from these systems. Dissolving it with self-forgiveness, letting it go with self-corrections, living words application. Excuse me. So there's a time for everything, and if you ever want to start a process of forgiving yourself, don't wait. Okay? So this is some of what I do to support myself. My relationships to other people in my life have changed very much. And I have a life now that I, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago couldn't possibly imagine that I would be having. My life today is so filled with content, with enjoyment, with empowerment, with responsibility, with caretaking, with honor, with regard and dignity, that I cannot do anything else than to say humbly thanks to Destiny I Process, and say that if you ever want to start something real, dealing with yourself as the key component, don't wait with starting the Destiny I Process, okay? The perfect opportunity for you to start that today. Yeah, so I support myself. I like to read books. I like to listen to music. Yeah, I support myself through enjoying my life in a responsible way, in studying nutrition, studying the anatomy of the body, learning to cooperate with my body, learning to read my body, to communicate with my mind, my being, my body, my energetic mind, my universal beingness, and the physical body, the stability, the substance that is life, that is the grounding of me, and so on. These three components, if you know them, start knowing them better, and let's journey into a better reality for all, basically, because what I live within is what I experience from the without. If I have a happy, you know, whatever words or trauma or drama or emotions or memories that are emotional that I let live within me, you know, because of what happened when we were 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, these elements lay like cinder, okay, cinder in the dark, glowing, and pumping and directing our behavioral patterns or limitations or lesser than today, okay? So seeing these patterns within myself, when writing and deconstructing my mind, basically, I learned to take charge of myself again, so that I can be the directed principle of my living, and not let the mind and some polarity or some desire or some emotion direct me, but no, grounded, physical, here we are, here we go. So it's a humbling experience to be walking through this life with schizophrenia is humbling, because I have the ultimate support of Destiny Art Process, and yeah, so medication, cooperate with doctors, healthy food, ice cold showers, walk in nature, ecological food, learn to know your body, learn to know nutrition, learn to know the nature around you, and you know, keep your, keep your mental state in order by reading, by playing the piano or whatever you like to do, painting or whatever. And yeah, if you have questions about how I support myself, about self-forgiveness or anything else, please feel free to ask me questions about this. I will leave some links to some very key information about schizophrenia. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you and enjoy.